So in this video, I want to get two things kind of out of the way. Not out of the way, but done. So I want to do a hacker rank problem, and I also want to show you guys this Twitter bot that I made. I know I talked about it before, but I never actually I want to walk through what I actually did, and how I designed it, and what it actually does. Because I don't think I've ever mentioned how it actually works. I described what it does, but not how it works. So I'm gonna try my best to explain every single thing I did, or to make it happen. Right now it works, but it's there's things that can make it crash. Very specific situations. So that's where I gotta start learning how to do error handling, or try catch. Is it try catch? Python. So this Twitter bot was made in Python, and yes, it's a pretty interactive. Well, it's not interactive. It is interactive. It's an interactive Twitter bot. You can interact with it, thus making it interactive. But it's pretty autonomous, as in I don't have to really do anything. It's just I press go on it, or I start it. I start the bot, and it handles a lot of the stuff by itself, which is good, which is what it's supposed to do. That's the point of a Twitter bot. You don't want to be looking at the code and trying to fix stuff on the fly. You should just be able to press play, and it just does what it's supposed to do. So I'm gonna show you the code for that, hopefully. And yeah, I hope this video is entertaining. And let's get to it. Okay, so this is the project, or this is the Apex Legends bot that I made for Twitter. So this file, apexstatsbot.py, is the main file that everything runs on. All this file does is takes in other files and runs functions based on other files. So as you can see, process.new process. This function actually lives in a different file, and we'll go there next. So once this initially goes, it'll go into a loop right after and continually go forever and ever and ever. So the first time it runs, it'll run, and then it'll just go in a loop. So let me show you what I mean. I'm gonna do Python apex bots.py. Actually, I'm doing another terminal. So if I do Python apex whatever apexstatsbot.py, you'll see it working. And as you can see in the bottom left, it says starting loop. So this is where it goes into a loop forever and ever and ever, and then restarts the loop. So basically what's happening here is first time it runs, it'll take all the information that was given. So it'll read the tweets from Twitter. Let me see if I can find it. So as you can see, I'm testing it myself. One of the tweets that it's gonna try to process is XBL:Adidas. So this means Xbox Live look up Adidas. So my friend's gamer tag is Adidas, and he plays on Xbox. So this is the format that it needs to be in. Not really needs to be in, but it should follow. So I actually made instructions how to actually use this bot. What it does, eventually it'll spit out information based on what was already given to it. So for instance, Adidas, or one of them was Cool, and this is his information, which is not much. That's how this bot works so far. So where the actual processing of information happens is in process.py, which is the main file that runs everything. There's a lot of things happening here. First is the Twitter validation. So for my Twitter application to be autonomous and whatnot, I have to get API keys and tokens and all this other jazz. For me to be able to get Twitter information from my account, I have to basically connect it with this Python script. So right here is basically the Twitter credentials that I need. This is actually the API key I need for the Apex API. So there's two APIs working together here. There's the Twitter API and the Apex Legends API. So the Twitter API I'll hit that and get all the mentions that a user tweets to my bot, and I'll process each one of those tweets. If possible, I will take the information from those tweets to hit the Apex Legends API using information. So especially what I'm saying. So if I get garbage tweets that mean nothing, it'll just not do anything with that information and just throw it away. So these two functions up here, I created them because in order for you to get your mentions up to a certain point, you need to give it an ID, and this is called a sense ID, sense_ID. So in order for me to keep track of all the mentions that I've already been through, I created a sense_IDs.txt file. So every time I process a tweet, this will actually update with the tweet ID, or the sense ID of that tweet. So every time this bot runs in a loop, it'll update the ID. That is how I keep track of what's already been done and what hasn't been done. So as I mentioned, this is the main function that I made. I called it new process. I'll probably call it something else. I just didn't know what to call it at the time. So this is the Twitter endpoint. This is how I get the mentions for my Twitter account. Twitter account's called Apex Legends Bot. And then I just run through those tweets and I basically go one by one, to analyze them. Right here, get Apex stats. This is where it gets interesting. This is where I'm basically validating whether or not the information that the user provided is, valid to actually do anything with it. So let's assume that it is valid. If it is valid, all this stuff does is basically determines what platform it's on, what the username is. Well, first it validates whether or not it's a valid, tweet that I can use information with or do something with. All right, then it determines the platform and the username. So if everything is valid, then I have a try except block right here. So it'll try and hit the API with that information, and if the status code is 200, process it and return a tweet. This is where if status code is equal to 200 works. So I'm taking all the information I need. So if the information given actually returns something from the Apex API, like information about a player, I will actually get a status code based on that. So like if the status code is 200, that means it successfully hit the API and it found the information that it wanted. If it's 400, then it didn't, or it hit the API but it didn't really get what you expected, or it didn't find anybody with those names or credentials. If it's 500, which I've experienced recently, that means there is something up with their API. And for some reason I was trying it this morning and I kept getting 500. I thought it was me, but it actually was their API itself, the Apex API. Something was wrong with it for like 10 minutes and I couldn't figure out why, so I just waited and it works now. So if status code is 200, I want to loop through the JSON file that was returned. So the JSON file was returned, or was created right here, stats equals r.json. So as you can see, I'm using for info in stats, and this returns the JSON file. So that means you have to like drill in to what you actually want. So for my case, it was data segments, the 0th index at stats. Let's see what that looks like actually. I'm gonna print out print info. So you saw I did print info. So this is the actual info that I need. So it's sniper kills, levels, season 3 wins, damage, kills per match, matches played, season damage, winning kills, season 2 wins, rank score, and all that information is the info when I run through that loop. So as I have that info, which is right here, print info, I can run through each one of them and create a key and value pair. So for instance, the key, I want it to be like kills, and the value, I want it to be the number of kills. So this is how it's gonna work, or this is how it's basically working. A user mentions the bot. The bot will take that information, and if it's information that you can use to hit the API for the Apex Legends, then it will try and retrieve that information. If the status code is 200, that means it was successfully done. There's actual information based on what was given, and we can use that information in a tweet we make. If it's 400, that means the information was bad, there's nothing there. If it's 500, that means the API itself, if there's something wrong with it. So if it's 200, we're good. So let's assume it's 200. All right, now that the user tweeted us, we have the information we need. We looked up the player based on that information. Now it's time to create the tweet. So when we create the tweet, I'll show you what the tweet will most likely look like, or will look like. So if you can see here, it says, hey, ID and Rivers, here's some stats for Adidas. Because the last tweet I had was XBL : Adidas. So what it did is it searched all the information I needed. So up here, you'll see a JSON file. Basically, I use this JSON file to create my tweet. Down here are the different criteria I use. So for example, sniper kills, level, damage, kills per match, matches played, season 3 wins, winning kills, and a timestamp at the end. So I added a timestamp at the end of this like string, just so that each tweet is a little different than the last, because it's part of Twitter's rules that you can't tweet the same thing over and over and over again. So in order to make these different, I had to basically add a timestamp at the end of each tweet. So yeah, as you can see, this is basically how the tweet will look. Let's actually see this running correctly. I have to uncomment something, api.update _ status post tweet. So this takes in an argument, which is a string, post tweet, and you can see that argument up here, post tweet. So basically this is all the information I have, and I'm just gonna tweet it. Let's see if it works. Python apex statsbot.py. Let's see if it works. It's running. Okay, true. So according to this was posted. I uncommented the one line of code that actually posts. So let's see if it actually did what I wanted to do. All right. So as you can see, sniper kills 252, sniper kills 252. It's the exact same tweet that you see on the left. It's actually on the right. So it worked. Congratulations. We made a Twitter bot. Well, I made a Twitter bot, and it works. So maybe I'll publish it today, and like see if you guys want to test it, because I think it's pretty vetted right now. It works. I tested it a lot, and yeah, let's see how I feel about it.